The second part of this lecture is about trying to think about alternatives of the business school. And the main idea that we're trying to explore here is whether you could think of the humanities and the liberal arts as a form of education that we should do more of within the business school. And Martha Nussbaum, and you find a
The topic
longer
we're going to
version of
focus
this on the
on
blog,
is the
would defend the
humanities and why.
on the basis that the humanities would create better human beings, people who are well equipped to defend, promote and develop democratic ideals, ideals about equality and about justice, different ideals that would try to make society a better place to live in. If you want to know more about the business schools and a historical account, this is a book by Rakesh Khurana, From Higher Aims to Higher Hands, and there is a lengthy review of this book which summarizes really well that you could find on the blog by Nick Butler. He divides the history of the business school into three main eras. So it's the first generation with well-known business schools, and he just explains how this came about. But what distinguished the first generation of the business schools from what came later is that the people, the managers, seemed to have a dual. They had two aims. One was to act in the interest of the shareholders, but also in the interest of society. And this involved people being well-read and cultivated, and it was all about trying to gain a social legitimacy for managers. Now, this turned into the business school changed slightly after the Second World War. This is what Khurana calls the second generation, where the whole focus of trying to do good for society kind of dropped out, and it became much more instrumental and technocratic. And the corporations grew larger and larger. So the ethical sensitivity that you found in the first generation sort of drifted out or became less important in the second generation. And then in the third generation, ethics turned from being unimportant to becoming almost ludicrous, where more and more business schools started to act almost in an unethical manner. And it went from technocratic capitalism to investor capitalism. And in a way, this has started to delegitimize managerial authority to a great extent. Now, that was a brief history. Here's an interesting idea of how you could save the legitimacy of the business school, or how you can make business schools better. And you would find excerpts from this book, both in the seminar reading and on the blog. And these are people who do make the case that business programs should not be disconnected from other undergraduate educations. And they do stress the importance of a broader education with particular focus on liberal arts and humanities. Because in the end of the day, if you are going to be a manager, a leader in a large corporation, it is vital for the survival of the society that these people also have an ethical sensitivity and sensibility. But what you find in this book, and also what you find in Khurana's historical account, is the assumption that people in business schools are an elite of some description. But maybe that's not the case any longer. And here Stefano Hani is important to look at. He starts from the fact that 40% of undergraduate students in the UK are studying business or business-related studies. And you can't have 40% of the people in the UK being part of an elite, especially if you look at how income distribution and power distribution looks today. So he's making the claim that if you're studying business, you're not necessarily on the side of capital, but rather you're on the side of labor. What he means by that is that you're not necessarily going to be on the side of people being part of an elite, a ruling elite, the capital, but rather he claims that studying business is in all likelihood going to bring people into situations where they are going to be subjected to management rather than exercise management. And you do find his reading on the blog, and here's a clip that you could find a longer version of the clip on the blog as well.
I think the first thing to say about
now, if that is the case, maybe we should think about the business school as a place that should think about a pedagogy of the oppressed. This is a book by Paulo Freire, and his claim is that you could think of education in two ways. One is the kind of education that would make everything stay the same. So if you have a society with people being oppressed on the one hand and people oppressing on the other, you could have one kind of education that would educate people to conform to the system, to make the system maintain its shape and maintain its legitimacy. Or you could think of an education, and this is the education that he promotes, that seeks to make people aware of their own situation, especially if you are oppressed. His idea of pedagogy, his idea of education, is to make people aware of their situation and to see clearly and to see in a broader perspective how they are being oppressed. And maybe this is what we should do in the business school. That would be one line of argument to pursue. But anyway, I think Paulo Freire offers an interesting way of thinking about education as, on the one hand, a way to conform to a system or a way to try and change the system. And in order to change that system, you need to gain an awareness of what's wrong with that system and to see how that system is putting some people down and making it all very easy for other people. That is the central argument that he's trying to advance. And then we just finished off with showing a clip by Cornel West, who's trying to look at education as paideia, that it's a deep education that makes us into critical, that makes us look critically on society. Well, that's all for this screencast. Thank you.